I rise to the Speaker to bring to the attention of the House matter of concern to the public, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are a country that is governed by the rule of law. And the last 2 days, Mr. Speaker, there was an episode in Nairobi County, Mr. Speaker, where people who could not pay their bills, electricity bills, Mr. Speaker, went ahead and dumped, I think, 1 truck or 2 trucks full of garbage, Mr. Speaker, in front of the premises of Kenya Power and Lighting Company, Mr. Speaker.
Garbage and swill.
Garbage
and swill.
And swill.
You know swill?
I know, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, go on.
Is it sewage? Is it sewage? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to bring to the attention of the House, Mr. Speaker, that is not the way to do things. Mr. Speaker, because Kenya Power and Lighting Company, Mr. Speaker, is a very, very important institution in our country. And is a public listed company. And is a company that is oversighted also by this House. Mr. Speaker, many people have defaulted in paying their bills. It's not only Nairobi County Assembly, Nairobi County government. But Mr. Speaker, if you cannot afford to pay your bills, you negotiate with the person you owe money. You don't use other means to intimidate them and to make them, you know, to make them let you go with their money. Mr. Speaker, I stand here to condemn that matter, Mr. Speaker, because it is uncouth and primitive, and it is an irresponsible way of dealing with an issue. Mr. Speaker, Nairobi City County of late has been doing a good job. They have been trying to clean the city, to remove, kiosks on the roadside that have encroached on the public pavements, Mr. Speaker. But this act they did yesterday, Majority Leader, is unacceptable. How can you, at this time, intimidate a government institution? Even though some of the major shareholders might be private, even some of them are members of this House, I know, of Kenya Power, and I'm told they're getting very good dividends this financial year because Kenya Power is doing very well. I don't know, he's not around now, but he's a serious investor in that place, Mr. Speaker. But that's very good. Even as we aspire to be that. Somebody who's younger than me, that I don't know how we achieve that. I'm really worried, Mr. Speaker. I need to pull up my socks and do something, Mr. Speaker. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, and that could be one of the reasons why we want to have change in the budget committee, maybe. Who knows? But I leave it there for people to decide. It's not in my place to judge anyone, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, the issue that I want to bring to the attention of the House is that the Nairobi County government must apologize and must desist from that kind of act going forward. The governor must apologize to the institution called Kenya Power and Lighting Company and residents of Nairobi in general. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot do that. Tomorrow, they will have a problem with NEMA. They will have a problem with any other institution. Is that the way you are going to solve your disputes? So, Mr. Speaker...
What will stop them from dumping garbage and swill outside your gate?
What will stop them? The Speaker is asking me from dumping garbage in front of my house. Mr. Speaker, that's a good question. Because if I don't pay for their services also, if I don't pay their water bills on time, or I don't pay maybe their service charge on time, they can dump garbage also in front of my house. Mr. Speaker, then they tell you, until you pay your dues, we are not going to remove any garbage from in front of your house. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a new phenomena that is, we have never seen it before. So, Mr. Speaker, the governor was elected by Kenyans through the UDA party. Even though we have some symbiotic relationship with ODM, which we are not yet confirming it, because we don't know how I think there is some relationship that is not known, that we need to understand where it is heading to. But Mr. Speaker, in spite of all that, with our symbiotic relationship with the governor, we have to condemn things when they are done wrongly. And that was a wrong act on the part of the Nairobi County government, Mr. Speaker. And we are not doing this we are warning people who might attempt to do that kind of nonsense, Mr. Speaker, because it might not end with them. There are other institutions also who can do that. There are others who can lock up your house, you know, for not paying your dues or something. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to say that act must be condemned and it must not be repeated again, Mr. Speaker. And if it is done, this House now will exercise its mandate of oversight. You know, Mr. Speaker, nothing constitutionally stops us from summoning governors. Yes. Nothing. There is no in the Constitution that writes governors can only be summoned by the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution says Parliament can summon anyone. Parliament. Yes. And when you say Parliament, it is both the Senate and the National Assembly. Yes. That is Parliament. Parliament can summon anybody in Kenya. Parliament. So under that provision of the Constitution, we will summon governors if they go wayward. They must stick to the rule of law, and they must respect the laws that we have put in place as a House to govern this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ichungwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me also join the Honorable Junet Mohammed, Minority Leader, first in condemning that act by the county government of Nairobi, and two, to ask both the county government of Nairobi and the Kenya Power and Lighting Company to get into a negotiation or some sort of dialogue to be able to resolve the issues that are before them on issues touching on pending bills, Honorable Speaker. What we have seen around Stima Plaza, Honorable Speaker, is these are criminal acts. And indeed, I was asking myself last night as I watched on TV, where are the police that should be ensuring there is law and order everywhere in the country? The Inspector General of Police must take decisive action. And it must begin with the drivers who drove those trucks there. Because, Honorable Speaker, it should be very easy for the Inspector General of Police through DCI to extract information as to who were the drivers who dumped there. From the drivers to the people who instructed them. Whether it goes all the way up to the governor, it should not matter. Because we should not entertain criminality in the guise of attempting to collect your debts from public institutions, Honorable Speaker. What would happen today, Honorable Speaker? Our constituents, some of them are waiting for bursaries, others are waiting for grade 9 classrooms to be built through NGCDF, and members of parliament are here asking for NGCDF money. What if we decided that everybody now will take the law into their hands and do whatever you want, Honorable Speaker? Are we going to have a country? The City Council of Nairobi owes businessmen and women in this country money in pending bills to the tunes of hundreds of billions. What if the people who are owed by the City County of Nairobi also tomorrow decided to go and dump their garbage outside City Hall? How would the governor of Nairobi take that? Number two, Honorable Speaker, under the integrity, it's called the EACC Act, Ethics and Integrity Act. These are not just criminal acts, but acts that go against the Integrity and Ethics Act.
Acts under the NEMA Act.
Yes, criminal acts under the NEMA Act, criminal acts under the Ethics and Integrity Act, and also criminal acts touching on economic crimes, because you are dumping garbage deliberately on a road and sewer. You will expend public resources to dump and to later clean up. It is abuse of public funds.
Yes.
And therefore, Honorable Speaker, if we allow this kind of behavior to go on unchecked, these are the same governors, Honorable Speaker, who some time back were asking that they also be given some security officers under their command. You can imagine if these governors had policemen under their command. They would trample on everyone, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, mine is to ask the Inspector General of Police and ask him to make sure that action is taken against those people who dumped outside Stima Plaza. I also want to encourage the business people who I have seen crying on national TV, that they have restaurants they have closed down because nobody can patronize their restaurants. They must take civil action against the city county of government of Nairobi for compensation for lost business, Honorable Speaker. Because you are closing down people's businesses. I saw the Stima Plaza. I also didn't know it's not even owned by KPLC. KPLC are tenants of Stima Plaza. It is owned by pensioners. Our mothers and fathers who worked in KPLC and Kenyan, as it were before, are the owners of that building. It is their business as landlords that is being spoiled by the county government of Nairobi. And Honorable Speaker, I do hope, and in fact, Honorable Speaker, I was wishing that you could even direct the Inspector General of Police, and because the chair of the Security Committee is here, you should direct the chair of the Security Committee to summon the Inspector General of Police and explain to the committee and to this House, how can they be watching when criminality takes root unchecked and nobody is doing anything about it? All that people can be left to is crying on TV, how their business have been locked down. KPLC employees are being paid a salary, but they can't go to work. Honorable Speaker, I would beg that you direct the Security Committee of this House to pick up that matter together with the Energy Committee, with the Inspector General of Police and the ministry concerned, to make sure that there is an amicable solution to this problem. But more importantly, for the Inspector General of Police to ensure that criminal charges are leveled against those who dumped outside Stima Plaza. That is a behavior that we cannot condone. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Tongoyo, we shall not allow this country to be reduced to a Wild West behavior, where you disagree with somebody and you send goons and hooligans to go and sort out your mess. That is not Kenya. And you must stop it. So I direct you to summon the IG to find out why no action has been taken against this publicized criminal behavior by the city government of Nairobi. Yes, Dr. Nyikal. Hold on, Tongoyo.
Mr. Speaker, it's not only the police that we should ask. What was actually done is a public nuisance, and actually under the Public Health Act, the driver and their bosses who allowed that to open can be charged because they actually exposed people to garbage and soil, as you said, and that can easily cause an epidemic. We actually had a problem like that where some person actually were dumping things in the river, and eventually we had cholera in River Suo in Western Kenya. So it is not just a police issue, it is a major health issue, not only for the staff of Kenya Power and Lighting, but for all the people around. So I think that element should also be looked into. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chief Whip, on the same issue.
Honorable Speaker, it is in line with what Dr. Nyikal has just said. This is actually what we've been saying, that we have created demigods in the name of governors, in the name of their excellence, Honorable Speaker. The cries of the business people around Stima Plaza, Honorable Speaker, should not be left just like that. I saw on TV, Honorable Speaker, a lady who runs a restaurant just next to Stima Plaza, who had no interest whatsoever to whatever happens between the county government and the Kenya Power and other business people around that area, Honorable Speaker, having it rough to even run their business, Honorable Speaker. There is even one cow, Honorable Speaker, that was towed by the county government, Honorable Speaker, that did not belong to the people, to any employee that works in the Stima Plaza, Honorable Speaker. That is exactly what we are talking about in relation to everything that we've talked about as far as the county governments and the, the governors are concerned, Honorable Speaker. So I also join the majority leader and all the leaders that have spoken in saying that it's about time that we also invite those governors, perhaps in this house, or find a way to have these committees, Honorable Speaker, to investigate some of those actions. I know it's not within our mandate. We'll be acting ultra-violent.
It is within your mandate.
It is within our mandate.
Read the Constitution.
So that this committee, I'm well guided, Honorable Speaker. Article 95, I presume. And then have these relevant committees, not just the security committee, Honorable Speaker, even the committee that handles matters environment, Honorable Speaker, the committee that handles trade matters, because the business people are affected around that area. The governor and his team must face this house and explain what exactly they were trying to do and this childishness that we see. Because, Honorable Speaker, we see a lot of them, not just garbage. You see governors, Honorable Speaker, moving around with vehicles, about 30 vehicles. One vehicle carrying a carpet, another one carrying a toilet, another one carrying goons, another one carrying a chair, another one stand. Honorable Speaker, even a chair cover in barrios, and disrupting things, people's places, and disrupting people all over, Honorable Speaker. You even saw in a funeral in Kakamega, Honorable Speaker, where there is war between a governor, a senator, and then a member of parliament, Honorable Speaker, because we've created demigods, Honorable Speaker. We also call upon the police to impound these trucks. The order by the governor to just release them, Honorable Speaker, that is playing PR. That is playing to the public gallery, playing politics, and playing clean. It shouldn't be that way. The vehicles that were parked outside, the vehicles that left the garbage in that particular place, Honorable Speaker, and the vehicles that blocked the way for 3 days should be impounded and the drivers arrested and charged, Honorable Speaker, for criminal offenses. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Tongoyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Here, Mazara.
Honorable Speaker, I'm well guided. We are going to have the IG summon and appear before the committee next week on Thursday.
There are criminal offences committed just under the nuisance law.
Yes.
Under environmental law, under the Health Act, under the Penal Code, and several other acts of parliament. You can find up to 10 criminal acts committed with that act.
So actually, Honorable Speaker, I'm actually can't agree anymore. What actually surprises all of us here is that it should not have even reached this far without the IG taking action. And the question should be, Honorable Speaker, it should not have waited to this far. But having said that, and as you directed, Honorable Speaker, we are going to do exactly that. And I think it's an issue that should be severely punished because, Honorable Speaker, it begs a question. If this can do to an institution like KPLC, what should happen to his own political competitors? It will be actually wake every other morning. Zero has been actually dump on your doorstep. So, Honorable Speaker, I join the rest of us to condemn that act, and we are going to do exactly as you directed. And possibly, Honorable Speaker, I think Honorable Dr. Nyikal put it, possibly, I think it also goes beyond the mandate only of security. Even NEMA should be they're probably pulled into this.
Honorable Millie, you remember, and you members of parliament must take this thing seriously. When we were going for a public rally in Jacaranda grounds, you remember Governor Songo then went and emptied raw sewage on the entire field and got away with it. This House must exercise its authority. Yes, Ocheng, what is it?
Speaker, you know, we allow governors and county governments to get away with too much. If there was a single time a governor should be impeached for gross misconduct, it is now. If the Senate was serious about their job, this is the time they should impeach a governor, not for corruption, not for stealing, but for gross misconduct on the face of it. There is no reason why the governor of Nairobi should continue being in office when his officers are telling us that they did what is said to have been done. The minister, the CEC for finance was on TV yesterday saying they did this knowingly. Why should the governor be still in the office, Mr. Speaker? Number two, Mr. Speaker, on this matter, and Dongo has spoken, the idea that National Assembly cannot summon governors is illegal. We've always known this. I think this assembly must start summoning governors where they go afoul of the law. We've allowed senators to be summoning ministers. We know it's wrong, but we've allowed them to do so. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that you must give a direction that committee chairs, committees concerned should henceforth start summoning governors where they go against the law. We should not shy from summoning them because of anything. There's nothing against the law when you summon governors to come here. And after, I think the day Don Botongo summons the IG, he must summon the governor also to come before that committee, so that these matters are handled in a manner that shows that this house has teeth and it will bite when it matters most.
Mr. Speaker, my issue is very related with the one we are discussing. These governors are becoming demigods. One, in Migori, you know there is a company called Sony Sugar. The governor of Migori has just decided to impound tractors carrying sugarcane to the factory because of some pending bills. Around 12 tractors now are in somewhere with the sugarcane in them. It shows that if we don't control these governors, they'll do anything they want and go away with it. So, Mr. Speaker, that was the burning issue that even back in Migori, the Sony Sugar are really suffering because the governor wants money from them, the cess money, which is in the pending bill, but if you don't pay, the tractors carrying sugarcane are being arrested. Do I call them arrested or compounded? And the sugarcanes are drying in those tractors simply because the Sony Sugar has not paid the levy for the county government of Migori.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, yes, Chepkonga.
Mr. Speaker, you know, you have allowed Honorable Tongoyo to call the Inspector of Police on Thursday. This is an extremely very important matter.
I have not allowed him, I've directed him.
No, he needs to be directed to call the inspector on Monday. This is a very urgent matter. We cannot allow a criminal matter to wait until next week.
Did he say next week?
He said Thursday. You should direct that they should call the inspector by Monday.
You are right. Yes, KJ, what is it?
Before the senior counsel leaves the floor, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to find out if it is in order for a member to direct the speaker. We know the discretion of the speaker is stipulated in our first standing order, Mr. Speaker. And while he has a very important point to raise, and we all have an issue to raise, even with the governor of Nairobi City County, for the activities and the actions that he undertook, which are an embarrassment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the lines of Kenya Power, we are carrying cables for the last mile connectivity. And our sector, the ICT and digital economy, is depending on Kenya Power to transmit this last line connectivity of fiber to the homes of Kenyans. It is one of the biggest pillars of the Kenya Kwanza government in the Kenya Digital Master Plan. So when you go and upset a fellow agency, which is a government agency, it is a gross action by a leader, Mr. Speaker. And so if it is for the IG to appear here, I do not think it is in the place. It is in the place of Honorable Chepkonga to guide you. I know, Mr. Speaker, under discretionary standing order number 1, you are wise enough to make a Solomonic decision on this issue. However, what was done by Governor Sakaja is gross misconduct, goes against the tenets of the Constitution, even on matters to do with leadership, Mr. Speaker. And I thank you for this opportunity. I just needed to know if Honorable Chepkonga is in order to direct the chair.
Tongoyo, you will summon the IG on Monday. Right? Honorable members, let's end there on that. I don't know if this school is still in the public gallery. St. Jacinta Secondary School.